Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Episode 20 of Grief Talks with Noel. Thanks, as always. I appreciate you making the decision to check out what we're going to talk about, what we're going to discuss tonight. I mean, it's a monologue because I'm talking, but I really always want this to feel like a very intimate conversation between myself and you because we're in this together. This is a very painful topic of discussion, and it requires a lot of delicate attention, and so I'm trying to give you my individualized attention. Yes, there are other people that will watch these videos and everything, and someone might even be watching at the same time as you, but in a different location in another part of the world or whatever. But I still want you to feel like I am giving you my individual undivided attention as we talk about something that pains both of us, all of us. So here we go. Once again, thank you for giving me your attention and listening to what you and I, are going to discuss tonight. If you want to email me, you remember that grief talks with grief talks with Noel at gmail.com. You know the address by now. I don't have to hold up the paper anymore. It served its purpose. So tonight, episode 20, I've called this episode Guilty Joy. And that might sound like a funny, oddly worded phrase because the phrase is usually guilty pleasure, but I didn't like the way the term guilty pleasure resonated with me as far as this channel is concerned. My mother watches this channel and that term just has a little bit of slime on it, and no. So guilty joy is what I've called it for tonight, and that's what we're going to talk about. The conflict that sometimes people who are grieving feel, and the conflict that I am currently living all the time. And I'll explain what I mean later. So I mentioned before numerous times that I'm an actress, and I went to school at I matriculated at one university, but I did some supplemental study while I was in college at a theater school in New York City. And one of the tasks that one of the teachers gave myself and my classmates was to make a joy list. As actors, you need a realm of emotions. You need a variety of emotions to be able to pull from. And so he challenged us to go home, and our homework was to make a list of things that bring us joy. So whatever it is in your life that brings you joy, we were supposed to write down that list. And then we would have that list to refer to if we ever needed to portray joy on stage. If the characters that we were portraying felt joy for whatever reason, we had that list to refer to. So I'm going to challenge you to do that as well. Even though we're hurting right now, even though there's a lot going on, I challenge you to make an actual list and check it twice. And just make a list of things that bring you joy. Even before I get into the discussion for tonight, do that. Make a list at some point of things that bring you joy, and you will be able to refer to that list when you need it. You're going to need it. You're going to need it. This is not a very joyful time in our lives. So if you have that list as a resource, then you can refer to it when you're, feeling particularly gloomy and feeling particularly sad. You can refer to that list and something will jump out at you, hopefully, on that list, and maybe help to kind of shift your mindset for a little bit. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. I'm kind of ahead of myself, but I wanted to mention that. So let's talk about joy versus happiness. So happiness is an emotion. It's conditional. It's based on whatever is happening in front of you right then. Like whatever's happening in your life in that finite snapshot that can make you happy. You feel happiness based on whatever's happening right there. It's situational, it's conditional, it's circumstantial. Joy, I think, is more so a way of life. It's a mindset. Things around you may not be going well. You may not be happy all the time, but joy is this underlying sense of contentment that you feel in your life. As you're going through grief, joy is elusive. It's not there. It's not present. It is MIA. You might have moments where happiness appears, little bursts of light and laughter where you feel happy in that particular moment, but then it fades pretty quickly. And then you go back to, unfortunately, probably feeling the heaviness again. The heaviness sets back in, and you go back to feeling the gloom that is associated with the most difficult time of your life as you're trying to, I define grief as the excruciatingly painful process of trying to adjust to the loss or to life after loss. your world has been shaken. Your world has been turned upside down by this loss, by this gripping loss that you've experienced. Life as you knew it was one way, and now all of a sudden it's over and things are different. And now you've got to try to make sense of your life and make sense of the world without your loved one. What? Like, my frame of reference was one thing for so long. 35 years and 10 days for me. For so long, I lived life a certain way. And then when my father passed, all that was shaken up. All that was changed suddenly. So now then I am tasked with trying to pull together the pieces of my life and make sense of this nonsense world now. And that is the painful process that I call grief. What happens now? Figuring out how to function, figuring out how to restructure things, figuring out how to rewire everything without my daddy. So that is cause for a lack of joy. That saps your joy when you are going through this process, certainly in the beginning phases of it. I almost forgot what joy felt like. I promise you, like in my darkest days, those first few months, let's say 6 months or so, I would have moments of happiness. I'd smile, I'd laugh, I'd, crack up, I'd, watch something funny or have a funny experience, and I'd feel, happy for a little bit. But then when that was over, I was back to empty, back to the darkness. So joy has been elusive in this process for me. And you probably know what I'm talking about as well. Happiness comes and goes. But joy, that lasting sense of contentment, I did not feel that for a very long time. So because I was unable to feel that for a very long time, and maybe you haven't been able to feel it either, as time has elapsed in my life, as situations have changed, as things have shifted, I'm now starting to feel a shift in my mindset, in my way of life. I'm starting to, for the first time in 17 months, I'm starting to feel joy again, and I feel terrible about it. Just confessing. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. And the reason why I feel such guilt, it's a guilty joy, is because I know that there are so many people. My list grows every single day. I literally have a list in my phone of people who I know are hurting because I want to just stay so connected to them, and I want to feel what they feel because this thing, it means so much to me, and I know that their pain is so real, and so I feel bad when I experience, or now that I'm experiencing joy, it almost feels like I should, not like I'm not worthy of it. I know I deserve this. I know I'm deserving of joy. I get that. But it's just, I don't want anything to mess with my ability to connect with the hurting. Like, I know that this is something that God gave me, and I don't want to lose it. I'll be transparent. Like, my personal life is shifting right now, and some really wonderful things, like this really wonderful, like, tsunami of joy just hit my life, and I'm opening my heart to various things again, and I reconnected with someone really wonderful, and things are going really well, and I feel joy again, and it makes me feel guilty because I know there are so many people that are still so heartbroken, but that doesn't mean I can't help them. Doesn't mean I can't still reach them. Doesn't mean I can't still empathize just because I may not actively be in the same exact stage that they're in. In episode 5, I talk about how this process is comprised of stages, not steps. And so because of that, they're like kind of fluid. There's a fluidness in between the stages. Like someone might go from denial to depression, then back to bargaining, then to so there's no it's not one directional. You can go from one to the other and back to the other and back to the other. But I just want to stay connected to people so much because it's in my heart. I have a burden for the brokenhearted. I do, and I don't want to lose that because I know it's something God gave me. So I find myself, to be perfectly transparent, I find myself intentionally trying to reconnect with that sorrow, just so I don't lose it. Like I will go back and just like dig in the trenches a little bit just to make myself feel, if I feel like I'm being too happy, I'm being too dreamy that day, like I'm too in love or whatever, like I'll just like, oh wait, let me just like do some emotional digging here. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you understand this sense of guilty joy where you're almost reluctant to allow yourself to make progress because you know so many other people are not where you are right now. But then that should be able to, I'm challenging you and myself to use the place that where you are, to use the joy that you might even feel, use that to give other people hope. Let them see you and let them see that, yeah, you were in the darkness where they were. You couldn't get out of bed either. And truth be told, I still have some of those moments. Like I had a really, really, really rough morning the other morning because I was just thinking about changes in my life and major life changes and how I can't even imagine my dad not being here for really big things in my life that might happen soon. And so I had a moment, like I had a couldn't get out of bed moment. I had a darkness moment. And that's going to happen all the time. This is a process, and you never stop grieving. You don't ever. It just changes over time. So anyway, the point that I was making is that you can use the joy that you feel. Don't let it be a guilty sense of joy, but use it to try to inspire other people, to try to encourage other people, and let them see, give them something to look forward to, I guess. Show them what's coming if they open their heart to doing the work, if they open their heart to actually connecting with the emotions that are necessary. This didn't come overnight. This took 17 months of hard work and soul digging and emotional excavation and all kinds of things like this. I've been doing this channel for 6 months now, and like every single week this has been work. Every single week this has been me analyzing my feelings and trying to help you and help myself and digging in stuff and resurrecting stuff, and it's just been hard. But because I've done that work, that's why I'm able to kind of feel what I'm feeling now. Guilty joy. As time goes on, I'll drop the guilty part and I'll just embrace the joy wholly, I guess, because I know I deserve it. I do. But as time goes on, I'll realize more and more that me feeling joy doesn't mean that I'm still not able to connect with other people's pain. Yeah. I'm just going to close with a friend of mine. Shout out to Alicia. Hey, Alicia. My friend Alicia, if you're watching, she shared something with me that her pastor said a long time ago. It's a simple phrase, but he said it several months ago. And back then I was like, okay, well, thank you very much. But it didn't really hit home with me until now when it's actually relevant. And very simply, her pastor said, you are allowed to experience joy. That's it. You don't have to beat yourself up about it like I'm doing. Hopefully I won't do it much longer, but you are allowed to feel joy. You're allowed to feel that sense of contentment. Don't feel bad if a shifting in your emotions take place and you start to feel, I consider my heavy feelings, I said this on Facebook recently, my heavy feelings are like a jacket. And sometimes I'm able to take, or lately I've been able to take the jacket off. I don't put it down, but I'm holding it in my hand now. I'm not always wearing it. I'm holding it in my hand. And I'm working to not feel bad about that. So as I continue to embrace joy, as you continue to embrace joy as it comes, it may not hit you quickly. Like I said, mine was like a tsunami. But I hope that you will embrace it as it comes and not feel guilty about it. That's all I got for tonight. I'm probably going to cry a lot more after this. I just tried to hold it together on camera because I didn't want to mess up my makeup. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. This was episode 20 of Grief Talks with Noel. I'll see you next week. And let's keep talking.